The esteemed panelists for this session will be as follows. Ms. Quinta Onditi, Head of Partnerships, Hello Tractor. Mr. Jerry Okwaro, Chief Executive Officer, Y Agri. Ms. Purna Pushkala, Head of Strategy, Samunnati. And Ms. Ama Akwamoa, Director, Market Engagement, Digital Innovations Group, Opportunity International. May I request you all to please kindly join us on stage. Let's give them a warm applause. Let's welcome them. I now hand it over to you, to the session moderator.
Thank you very much, and thanks to all of you who have stayed for our session. We hope that in the next few minutes other people will trickle in, and we are looking forward to a very exciting conversation around a very particular challenge that our colleagues here will help us understand better, which is about how can we use financial services to effectively help women become more climate resilient, specifically rural women with agricultural livelihoods. So that's a big challenge, and that's what we are going to explore now in this panel. So let me begin briefly. Again, my name is Javier Faz, and I'm the lead for Financial Services for Equality and Growth at CGAP. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. And this morning, I'll be the moderator for this conversation. We will start with a few introductory comments to frame the conversation, and then we'll start a discussion with the panelists, and we will leave some time at the end for Q&A. As you all know, women play a critical role in rural economies. About 4 out of 5 women in low-income countries have an agricultural livelihood. So we're talking a very large proportion of women that are poor who have whose livelihood depends on rural and as a smallholder farmer. Yet women, as we all know, remain a very excluded and vulnerable segment. Being women, they are subject to the gender social norms. Also being poor and in rural settings, it is just an intersection of all the possible challenge. So it has been, so far, even though inclusive finance has grown significantly, women continue, especially rural women, continue to be remaining behind. And as the world experiences all the effects of climate change, women who depend on agriculture are particularly vulnerable and are bearing the blunt of those effects. So in this panel, we will explore how is it that FSPs, financial service providers, are effectively reaching them with financial services that can really help them become climate resilient. And this is a very significant feat. Over the last 10 years, CGAP has been following innovations that are trying to address this, and it's been really hard to be effective and to actually launch businesses that can do this. So our innovators here are the organizations that are represented by our colleagues here in the panel are really doing a great job demonstrating how this can be done. So we will be asking them for their secret sauce on how is it that they're actually doing this. So with us, and I know that they've already been introduced, but I just briefly introduce them again. We have Quinta Onditi, Head of Partnerships at Hello Tractor in Kenya. We also have Jerry Okwaro, CEO of We Agri in Cote d'Ivoire. We have Purna Pushkala, Head of Strategy at Samunnati here in India. And we have Ama Akwamoa, Director of Market Engagement, Digital Innovations Group at Opportunity International in East Africa. All right, so let's go to the questions, and let me begin by putting a focus on the way you all reach rural segments. So I know that each of your businesses partners with different kind of organizations, farmer producer organizations, cooperatives, VSLAs, different kind of organizations to reach rural segments. so this question is for each of you. Can you tell us how does that play out in your business model? How does it enable your business model? And how is it that it helps you reach women with rural and agricultural livelihoods? So let's go in this order, and let's try to keep it brief to around 3 minutes. Quinta, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. So at Hello Tractor, one of the key aspects when you look at working with farmer cooperatives is really the diversification of the solutions that we offer to smallholder farmers. One of our greatest successes working with farmer cooperatives has been extending our services within mechanization into storage. And so one of our partners actually had the infrastructure, but didn't have the capital to operationalize their warehouse. And so working with farmer groups to ensure that they are also able to benefit from the infrastructure that they have is very key. And by creating that win-win situation, that then meant that for the farmer cooperative, they're the very first farmer-owned warehouse in the country that has been certified to offer warehousing as a solution. For Hello Tractor, we are the fifth warehouse operator that has been certified in Kenya. So those win-win situations are very important. Secondly, I would say working with farmer cooperatives, being able to really understand what specific needs smallholder farmers have. You can run as many surveys as you want, but the data is not going to be able to give you as rich and real information as having those conversations with leaders of cooperatives and community representatives who the community look up to from farmer cooperatives. From an impact perspective and being able to access more women and rally in expanding our women network, leveraging communities within the farmer cooperatives has been a key one. Some of them that we work with are ranging between 40 to 45% women representation. We're working with them towards bringing that number at least to a 50-50 split. And so those 40% women who represent women within the community stand as models for community, and the ripple effect of that is them being able to pull in more women into not just the cooperative, but also the Hello Tractor network. And so that's a key aspect that we would say there that we're able to leverage from farmer cooperatives. A second one is by extending our solutions to the cooperatives, they're able to cluster and aggregate in a clustered way the demand, right? And so for them, mechanization services are much cheaper. And so by offering, subsidized cost for mechanization services, that also helps us really expand the network and bring in as many women as we can within Hello Tractor network and for the farmer cooperatives as well.
So we agree as a digital marketplace platform, and as we bring together all actors in the cashew value chain, and these actors are buyers, are transformation industries, and cooperatives, and of course farmers. So farmer-facing organizations, cooperatives, and FPOs remain an integral part of our strategy because that's our inroad to reach the farmers. You can imagine, right now we have 20,000 farmers registered on the platform, and you can imagine how difficult it can be to reach each and every farmer individually. So the cooperatives play a role of bringing together farmers, and since right now most of the what we are trying to achieve with the platform is to solve the perennial challenges in agriculture: access to finance, access to input, access to information, and access to market. Most of the service providers, most of the actors in the sector work through the cooperatives. Right now, you cannot, most institutions cannot lend directly to farmers, but they lend to cooperatives and other FPOs. So the cooperatives aggregate and consolidate the needs of the farmers, and thereby the service providers can address these needs collectively. Also, it's important to note that in our market, in our environment, the cooperatives also pre-finance the production and also the marketing. So it's through the cooperatives that you'll faster identify the farmer needs, and being that they know their farmers, they work with them in the community, they'll tell you that this is a reliable farmer, this one is a better pair, this one has only maybe 5 hectares of land, so it doesn't need this quantity of input. So it has really helped us to reach farmers faster, and also specifically to women, we have programs aimed at specifically focused on women working within the value chain. The cashew value chain, apart from the farmers, women farmers who are a minority in the sector, we have also the pickers. We have also those who work in the industries and also in the farms. So through these cooperatives, then we can tailor products that respond to the different segments, the pickers, the farmers, and even the factory and farm workers in a more efficient and productive way. So for us, it's been quite impactful to work with the organizations, because for us, we start from the apex, the national body, we go to the regions. The regions are the bodies that bring together all the cooperatives in that regions, and then they give us access to the cooperatives and the farmers. So it's a wide approach that gives us access to all these important actors in the market throughout the ecosystem. And of course, for input distributors, for transformation factories, and even for institutional buyers, they'll be more comfortable working with cooperatives than working directly with individual farmers. Thanks.
Hi everyone, good morning. Samunnati works across the value chain. We start right from pre-harvesting needs until the post-harvest. I think everybody has underscored the importance, the role the farmer collectives play. So we leverage the power of aggregation. At the core of our model is the smallholder farmer. We work for making the markets work for them. So how do we do that? We do that through these farmer collectives, largely FPOs, cooperatives, and there are other forms of aggregators. There are agri-enterprises who enable access to farmers. So how does this help? Again, Samunnati serves to enable access to cheaper inputs, access to formal finance, access to markets, access to technology, access to capacity building. All of these are required to make the agri-value chains operate better. And coming to women farmers, again the same route, farmer collectives enable access to the women farmers for Samunnati. And leveraging the power of aggregation is how through one collective we reach probably more than 500 to 1,000 farmers in one go. And one of the important aspects that would be very relatable today is how we enable livelihood creation. We enable women farmers to solve for the other challenges they have. We have all been talking about financial inclusion. Though they all have access to bank accounts, there is still, they don't have access to a land title. They don't have access to smartphones. Even some of them who have access to smartphones do not have access to connectivity. So which means, there is a huge challenge in terms of them being able to access whatever solutions that are available. So that's where Samunnati operates. We work on first capacity building, dissemination of knowledge, enabling and empowering, creating that awareness, and then through the farmer collectives, give them access to finance, which then, empowers them to undertake an income generation activity, a livelihood activity, and then they move forward. But the challenges are, I think, pretty common. I'm able to relate to whatever, I heard from them. So I think the terrain is pretty similar. Yeah.
Hi everyone. For us at Opportunity International, with our over 50 years experience working across Africa, Latin America, and India through our agricultural finance program, our education finance program, our newly inaugurated health finance program, which is all underpinned by technology. Partnerships are very core to what we do. If you look at our history, we've evolved from owning financial institutions across these spaces to now running what we call a partnership-rich model. When you look at our agricultural finance program, we know that looking at Africa, 70% of the food grown is done by smallholder farmers who are women, which makes it more imperative that we find ways and means in which we inculcate them into the process by which the different programs that we develop are done. I will tell you of one of such methods that we use. We have our farmer support program, which is basically taking local farmers, again, majority women, within the communities in which we work. We equip them with skill sets, and they, through a peer-to-peer model, then disseminate that kind of knowledge to their fellow farmers. We recognize over the years that this has proved to be a very effective method where, because it's peer-to-peer, the use of local language is easier, and also the farmers feel more comfortable hearing from fellow farmers. I'll give you an example of how we've done this utilizing technology. In the last 6 months, we've digitized the savings groups over 16,000 individuals, and majority of whom are women. I know the people in this room are very much familiar with the Sakshi model in India, where we have the savings groups. So these savings groups, within the context that we work in across 7 markets, including Colombia, we have been able to digitize the ledger of these groups, which means that now we are saving time when these groups, farmer groups, meet. We are also giving them a chance to be linked to formal financial institutions. Also, one of the developments that we at the Digital Innovations Group at Opportunity International have done is the fact that using AI, we have developed a farmer bot, which basically now integrated into WhatsApp, our farmer groups are able to get extension services at their fingertips. Again, we know how women suffer from time poverty and how farm extension services are so far flung on the continent. Now, at the click of a button, the women are able to get context-rich extension services that is based on their local context. And the way we do this is that we work with different partners. In Malawi, where we've piloted this program, we are working with the Ministry of Agriculture to make it possible. And in Ghana, we are working with the Ghana Development Bank and the Ministry of Agriculture within the rice growers in Ghana. So this is how in Opportunity International, we are working with different partners across board, but also making sure that at the center of the development of these programs, we are working with smallholder farmers who are majority women. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. All right, so it's coming together. The secret sauce is a little bit coming to the surface. So your businesses are different, right? You do different things, but there are some common ingredients. And what I hear from your responses is that partnerships are very important because they allow you to reach people, your ultimate clients, in an effective way. They are very localized, very aware of the context. They understand the situation. They understand what the ultimate customers need. They allow you to, they enable your business model in different ways. Digital is also part of enabling the services. So that makes it effective, feasible, business model efficient, but at the same time, you're capitalizing the social connections, networks, etc. So that seems to be a big thing. Building on that, I would like to ask specifically Samunati and We Agree. In your cases, when you through these partnerships, do your partners share data in a way that allows you to be more effective tailoring your financial services or your services, including financial services, for the ultimate clients? How does data play a role? Are these aggregators, in addition to giving you access, aggregated access, do they also share data that helps you better tailor services? So
While of course data is important and data enables all the transactions, we still face a lot of challenge. The aggregators that we are talking of are still farmer producer organizations. So they have data in a very informal, loosely structured manner. So I think we are at a stage where we are now putting together that data so that that power can be leveraged. With whatever information that is available, which is very basic about the agriculture value chain, we are able to customize a lot of solutions. We are able to probably align it to the cash flows and take the access to the next level. But we still have some distance to cover in terms of being able to obtain access to data. Because the kind of partners we work with, be it input providers, other financial players, we offer finance ourselves, we work with other financial players to take finance to them, or even market linkage partners. The primary challenge continues to be data at the farmer level, because what the farmer collectives have in terms of their member data is not organized, is not structured. Today, the farmer collective will be able to roughly say, this is the kind of work that I do with farmers. They still are not in a position to differentiate and say, these are the business from my members, this is the business which comes from this particular value chain, this is the business that comes on account of inputs for so much. But that is a level of data that will help us customize multiple newer solutions. So we are kind of, doing our best with whatever little that we have available. But data by itself, I think in the Indian context and in the context of smallholder farmers, what we have are basic records that are digitized, like all their bank account information, the cash flows that gets routed through the bank account, that is digitized. And likewise, people who have access to, some of the other digitized products, those are the data that is still available. But what would be required would be much more, digitization, much more digital penetration to actually leverage data before the solution can be structured around it.
thank you.
So as a digital platform, of course, we pride, or one of the value additions of the platform is the data that we collect from the farmers. And our platform is divided, our marketplace is divided into two segments. There's what we call the open market. These for farmers who are not affiliated to any cooperative. Then we have closed market. These for the farmers and their cooperatives, because the cooperatives identified one of the biggest challenges as side selling by farmers. So they wanted a way to bring their farmers, like to link their farmers to them, so that their farmers will sell to them as a priority before selling to the open market. So we collect a lot of data from the cooperatives on how they transact with the farmers at each commercialization season. We know how the individual farmers are doing in terms of how many transactions they do with the farmers and with the cooperatives. And this also helps the cooperative to know if there are cases of side selling, because if farmer X has let's say 5 hectares of land, you know that in 5 hectares, probably the average production will be, let me say, 15 tons. But then you only see 5 tons passing through the platform. Then it means the farmer is side selling. So we use and we share this data with the cooperatives. One other thing also is when we talk of the women in the value chain, we've organized VSLAs where women within the value chain in a bid to improve their revenue, improve their livelihoods in general. So they save through the VSLAs with the opportunity to get funding, to get credit from VSLAs to implement some projects like a basic transformation and just to diversify their income. So we know how many, we can tell how many women are saving, and the amounts, and which groups are, doing well in terms of their savings. And that helps us to know how to better orient our services. I'll give you a quick example. Like, we noticed that only a small percentage of women were saving through were saving in their accounts, and when we got to dig deeper, we found that there was difficulty in going to the branch to deposit the funds. They are fairly small amounts. So if you want to maybe move from where you are to 5 kilometers away to deposit the money, then for them, they'd rather not. So what we did is, through this, we developed with our financial partner, we are linked with in the platform with APIs, via APIs, agency banking model, where our female agents will go out to these women. Instead of waiting for them to come to the bank, they have POS machines that they go out to collect the deposits, like their agent. They become like agents for the bank, and this has enabled us to increase the volumes that the women are saving. There are many more examples which we can share, but in essence, the platform, we rely heavily on data, and it helps us to refine our services, our value proposition to the smallholder farmers.
Thank you. So when you have digital platforms, digital tools, people use digital payments, when the digital aspect is there and it's working, then it's great, because then there's a lot of data that you can use in different ways, and that's really what we would like. But the reality is different. Data is not always there. Not everything is digital, and there's a lot of things that you need to do on the side to get around it, right? If you really want to design good products, tailor products, you really need to go all the way, invest to be there at the front and understand, and you don't get that directly from digital transactions. You do have to invest to get some information and be able to use it, but you don't have that kind of ongoing digital flows all the time that allows you to react in real time to what people need. But though that could be a good goal to, for a future state, but where you are now, you have to deal with reality, limited data, and all right. So that's great. So let me go now to Hello Tractor and to Opportunity. And the question for you is similar. How do you, in the way your businesses work and in the way you have designed your products, what are your strategies to tailor your financial services to the women and to what they need?
Right. I think first thing is the data doesn't lie. When we started our pay-as-you-go model 2 years ago, we expected that we'd have higher performance from our male renters as opposed to our women renters. Essentially because, again, men have had access to large assets equivalent to tractors before, whereas women were at a disadvantage at getting access to these assets, right? However, when we went through the data, we've realized over time our current portfolio at risk is 2%, and that 2% is largely contributed to by women, right? Women only, out of the 2 million farmers that we serve, we have 35% women renters who are serving, right? And so so when you look at the numbers and the repayments, the fact that women are outperforming their male counterparts for us is very big. And we've been working with our partners to ensure that we continue to make it even more conducive for the women to be able to access a tractor as an asset. One way we're doing that is through down payment assistance. We have a number of programs where we are supporting women from across the different countries. We are operationalized in 5 countries currently: Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Ethiopia, and Nigeria. And so across those markets, we are offering down payment assistance prioritized for women renters. The second thing that I'd mention there is around the tailor. So when we launched our storage solution, right? As we worked closely with the farmer cooperative that we're partnered with for that solution, we had a couple of focus group discussions with women farmers within the community just to understand what their role within the production cycle is. And a lot of them spoke to, weeding, they spoke to harvesting as, some of the activities where they are really engaged in, right? And so we thought of a solution that is customized specifically for women's challenges in mind, right? So when we de-risk the crop and offer post-harvest loss mitigation solutions like storage, then what happens is that the women are much more, they have more motivation. They understand that through this solution, they not only are able to access credit to finance their next production cycle, but they're also able to sell their commodity at a time when the market prices are most conducive, right? So here we are solving 2 challenges for them: access to credit, as well as being able to, get more profits from the commodities. And that again has a ripple effect in terms of how it serves not just them and their families, but also their communities through empowering women.
Excellent. Thank you.
I think for us at Opportunity International, majority of the clients that we serve are women. And it's important that we realize the different cultural contexts in which these women work, their life stages, and also very, very importantly, the livelihoods that these women live. I will tell you, for example, in the digital innovations team, when we were developing our AI-powered farmer bot and other AI-powered digital tools for the communities that we serve, we use a human-centered design approach, which means that we put the clients at the center of the design process and ensure that they are integrated in the digital products that we develop. So I'll give you an example. Recently, when we were working on our farmer bot, AI-powered, I went into these communities and sat with these women and listened. You would agree with me that when you sit with women within their context, there are so many things that you would see that impacts the kind of digital tools or interventions that you develop for them. So, for example, sitting with women farmers in Malawi, we understood better what questions they were looking for our AI Farmer Bot, which office extension services needed to provide for them in terms of weather. If you look at the climate lately, with a lot of the climate change happening, cyclones have become a very big deal in the markets that we serve. Malawi being, for example, one of the markets that Opportunity International works in. I think another point is we love digital, and we know that across the continent, when we look at the example of mobile money and the partnership that fintechs and banks and partners like ourselves have helped with mobile money and how it has improved formal financial services for women in the continent, it's a great feat. But we also know that about 265 million fewer women on the continent are accessing the internet using a mobile phone due to issues of the price of the device, connectivity issues, and sometimes digital literacy that is still a challenge on the continent. So we realized that to make these interventions work, yes, have your digital, but add a physical element to it. So our farmer support agents now also, aside digital, become an opportunity for those who don't have access to device to have a human touch to the process. We know also that there's a need for a multi-channel approach. So mobile money then becomes another opportunity to, liaise with whatever systems that formal financial services have that can then also open avenues for more women to be able to get a chance to access formal financial services. We know that women are using informal savings mechanisms, channels, to be able to get access to either loans or to save their money. But we understand that by giving them the option of formal financial services, we are opening them up to be able to get loans, to be able to put into their businesses. We know that capital is still a challenge for women. Unlike men who have access to KYC, requirements from these formal financial institutions, women still don't have that. Women don't have access to land title deeds, for example, that they can use as collateral. So for us, again, it's working with financial institutions and letting them understand what the various social-cultural challenges are for women and saying, are there interventions within your formal financial systems that you can create leeways for women to be able to come in? Or else we run the risk as a continent of removing access for such a very big chunk of our population. And this has very dire consequences for us. Look at the issues of, for example, food cultivation on the continent, where women, again, hold 70% of the food that we consume in Africa.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is as a provider, you still have to make investments to go all the way to the clients, understand what they need, develop the range of services that people need, right? You can't just come in with a piece of the solution. You have to really be flexible and incorporate an offering that addresses what they need in a substantive way. And that requires investment. So one question that comes to my mind is, where does the money come from? So how do you this is costly, and these are small cash flows and small loans. How do you make it viable, right? How is it that you're able to solve the problem of viability?
Javier, I'll tell you a story of recently when we were developing our SME AI PowerBot. And we basically, when I sat with these women, smallholder and nano business and smallholder farmers, I'm asking them questions about, what do you like about the AI PowerBot? One of the women said to me, we live in the outskirts of town. Can this AI-powered chatbot help us with information if one of us is sexually abused? For me as a woman, at that point, I ceased to be a researcher and a professional. And this is where partnership comes in, because then as one entity, you cannot carry the heavy load of all of this. And this is when you start to look for partners within the segment who can offer such services. And for us, it was looking for people within that segment who could then feed us with relevant information within that context that the AI-powered bot could, for example, offer for these women answers to such questions. Also, there is a misconception among formal financial service providers that this market of informal savings mechanisms users, majority of whom are women, there is no business case when you serve them. But the data is showing us that that is not the case. Women, for example, when you give them loans, are more likely to pay these loans back than men. You know why? Because these women know that if they do not pay back these loans, they have closed the opportunity for them to come back to these former financial service providers when they are in need. So there is a strong business case for extending credit to women and to providing products that serves their needs. The question for former financial service providers is, are you developing products that serve the needs of this segment, or are we just pink washing them? There is a business case for serving them. And I think that formal financial institutions, again, in partnership with non-financial service providers, need to look at the case of serving smallholder farmers, who again are majority women, and developing products that serve their needs. I worked on a similar project in East Africa, working with former financial partners in Tanzania, and that business case was realized. And now they have seen the fact that if you develop a digital product that serves the need of women, you will make the needed profit that you need to be able to make this happen. But again, partnership sits at the core of this, because it's a marriage between formal financial services and non-financial services. And everybody needs to come into this pool for us to make it work.
Thank you. I think you've answered it really squarely. We don't have a lot more time, but I want to pose one more question to the group, and maybe if you can make it quick. But the question is: so you bring financial services, among other things, collectively. This is an offering that is meaningful. But how do these lead to resilience against climate change? Because we know that financial services can help you diversify your income, can help you grow your income, can help you, have equity for capital. So how do we connect the financial services that you're offering to increase resilience against climate change? So if maybe a quick answer on those lines.
Sure. And I'll go back to Ama's point around partnerships. At Hello Tractor, we are not keen on reinventing the wheel. We really leverage partners, and as we close on various objectives that our projects are targeted at, we really look at, deeply rooted challenges that the farmers face. So on the climate front, SIGAP has been very instrumental to us as well in terms of really being able to not just understand the challenges and the risks that the farmers face, but also customizing solutions specifically to meet those challenges. We are currently also working on a very exciting project with the Gates Foundation, where we are bridging again, the gap between the global South, and exploring opportunities to work with manufacturers within South Asia, specifically within China and India, and seeing how we can also reduce the cost of some of these solutions. As much as, building climate resilience is a habitual thing, right? It's not, plug and play kind of thing. You have to walk the farmers through the process and ensure that they're able to, sufficiently benefit from these solutions that you're bringing to them, right? And a lot of times the solutions are very expensive. And so when you think about, bringing in opportunities for them to acquire the solutions at subsidized cost, then you must think of the cost of acquiring these innovations that you're also bringing in, and how that trickles down to the farmer. So partnerships is a very big one. Working with governments has also been very helpful to us. A lot of the PPP partnerships that we have allowed us to significantly subsidize some costs for farmers, especially on the fertilizer side, where they get subsidized fertilizer directly from the government offered to them through our hubs, right? Hello Tractor also operates in a phygital sort of model where we have a fleet management platform. But on top of that, how we actually meet last mile needs is through our hubs. So I'd say that. Yeah.
Thank you. Jerry.
We believe that the bottom line is also economic inclusion. You cannot talk of financial inclusion, social inclusion, without talking of economic inclusion of women. So for us, through partnerships again, we had our partnership with through SIGAP. They put us through to an organization that provided training material on climate change, impact of climate change, which we've uploaded onto our platform. Yeah, so okay. So I'll take it again quite fast. Through partnerships with different entities, we developed material content for climate change resilience that the women can listen to. And of course, our approach is phygital. So we have people who go out to meet these women, to talk to them. Of course, they'll tell you, I've noticed this, my crop is no longer the same and all that. And it gives us an opportunity to train them. Apart from that, we've also developed different modules on entrepreneurship, modules on financial management that we train the women on. So our end focus is economic inclusion for these women. We teach them, we train them on the basics. How can you benefit from the cashew itself? For example, initially the cork from the cashew, or the shell rather, used to be thrown away. But now there are organizations that collect these and use it to produce biochar. And these women now can sell this to these organizations, something that was initially a waste. They can sell it and make additional revenue. Also, we've partnered with a carbon project developer to distribute cook stoves on our platform. And this is, we've eased access for women because our financial partner, we have a financial partner that is focused on women. It started as a women-focused microfinance. And through them, these women who are already organized in groups can access these cook stoves and pay in installments. Okay. So they can get loans to finance their cook stove purchase. So at the end of the day, they have savings in terms and increased revenue for themselves.
Thank you. Samunati.
Yeah, so I think the points are pretty similar in terms of what we can do, but just taking one step further at Samunati, the financial services are meant for, one part of it is significantly meant for climate smart agriculture. So climate smart inputs, output processing, and some of the technologies that they can leverage, and just, overlay capacity building on top of it. We work with industry players who offer these services, and they do the capacity building and development. We partner with them, and then we offer a customized financial solution to ensure that there is an outreach. So right from a solarization project to drip irrigation to climate smart seeds, you name it. There is a requirement for finance everywhere, and on top of it there is a capacity building intervention where through the FPOs, through other partners, we take these technologies to them. First they learn about the technology, the knowledge gets disseminated, then to access the technology they get the finance, and then the output also is at times facilitated. We take an integrated approach in certain value chains. We take standalone input output focused approach in some value chains, but the underlying connector is capacity building. Financial services and climate resilience, the connection is for us capacity building and enhancing their knowledge. So in addition, of course, we have come up with our own carbon incubator facility. So we are also trying to create awareness on initial basic projects that the farmer collectives can undertake, largely in agroforestry. Then of course biochar is gaining a lot of momentum, and then there are also elements which are around them getting into new cropping, climate smart practices, not just in the existing crops but also getting into newer cultivation. So these are all some things where financial services actually plays a role in enhancing climate resilience.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To ensure climate resilience of smallholder farmers, who majority are women, I think a systems approach will be very core. If you look at a recent report by MasterCard Foundation and McKinsey and Co., it says that $287 billion can be added to the economy of African countries if they focus on ensuring that women are brought into the formal economy. That is a 5% GDP addition to the economies of our country. That this will only be possible if women are financially and economically empowered. And if you look at some of the levers that they said it needs to be triggered to let this happen, one of the ways is through information and advisory services. And that's why for us at Opportunity International, ensuring that women have the relevant information that is core to their context, that enables them to make informed decisions, is very, very relevant. And that's why we are using digital means, using AI to make this possible. And we believe in the power of putting the women at the center of development of these technologies and ensuring that our FSP partners understand that the right products will trigger the right kind of information and would impact the lives of these women. And in a world where climate change is ravaging farms and is ensuring, and it's making it look like our food sources are going to be a challenge in the future, that women still with the relevant information can be the heroes again and save the day. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So to the organizers, do we have time for a question? No? Okay. All right. So sorry, but after the panel, feel free to reach out and to each of my colleagues and ask your questions directly. Thank you very much for sharing about your businesses. Great work that you're doing, and thank you to the audience for participating in this session.
Thank you to our esteemed panelists. Thank you to the moderator of this session. May I request you to please join us front and center for a photo op, and please do collect a small token. We would like to present you a token as a token of our appreciation and thanks. So if you could please collect it, the small memento.